Great inventions, genius and gizmos, innovation in our time, by the editor of Time, Great Inventions. Going up, the space age started up in Aunt Apple's backyard. The rocket and red glare, the science knew all about it. They developed self-propelled fireworks centuries before Isaac Newton explained the operating principle in his second law of motion. But rocket science didn't really get off the ground until the 1890s, and English inventor William Hale added pins and angled exhaust tube to an army missile, causing it to spin as a bullet does when shot from a rifled gun barrel, and thus to become more stable and easier to guide. In 1903, Russian educator and rocket enthusiast Konstantin Tsiolkovsky published the exploration of space with reaction-propelled devices, become the first to suggest the rocket could be powered by liquefied by hydrogen and oxygen far more efficiently than the solid fuels that had been used for centuries. Although Tsiolkovsky never sent a rocket aloft, his work fascinated American scientist Robert H. Goddard, who had begun testing solid fuel rocket in 1909 but switched to a liquid fuel design in 1915. After reading Tsiolkovsky, it wasn't until 11 years later, though, that Goddard was able to make his liquid fuel design work. On March 16, 1926, he launched a missile that soared 41 feet into the air before crashing back to Earth in his Aunt Effie's backyard in Auburn, Massachusetts. Goddard's flight is remembered alongside the Wright brothers' first takeoff as an Effie-Chart mount. He would be awarded more than 70 patents during the course of his career and achieved many additional historic firsts, such as his unprecedented use of gyroscopes to guide a rocket. But Goddard, like the Wright brothers, was hindered by a penchant for keeping his work secret. He also proved unable to integrate his brilliant ideas into a single operational system that would prove his detractors wrong. For Goddard's work attracted derision in America, and New York Times ridiculed him in 1920, saying he lacked the knowledge ladled out daily in high schools, but it was followed with religious zeal by rocket enthusiasts overseas, especially in Germany, where missile theorist Hermann Oberth found the Berlin Rome Celebrate Society of Space Travel. Among its early members was a young man who was decided at age 13 to dedicate his life to rocket science. By the mid-1930s, Werner von Braun was able to talk the newly resurgent German military into subsidizing his experiment in rocketry. The ultimate result of his work was the V-2 rocket, which perfected many of Godard's idea, if perfected is the right term for a weapon, so lethal to civilian. Goddard died in 1945, just as rocket science was coming into its own. It was left to Von Braun, who immigrated to the US to create the first multi-stage rocket and the mighty Saturn IV that took Americans to the moon. But Goddard had the last word. In 1969, a few days after Neil Armstrong's historic step, the New York Times issued an official apology to Robert Goddard. Rocketman Goddard, second from right, and assistance at the Roswell, New Mexico test site on April 19, 1932. He moved his test to the desert after neighbors in Massachusetts complained. Below left, a German V-2 rocket lifted off from Finland on Germany Baltic coast. Echo 1. Of course, it's not a rocket, but since it's a largely forgotten pioneer of space flight, we wanted to show Echo 1. Launched in August 1960, the giant balloon, 100 feet in diameter, was designed as a passive satellite that contained no instrumentation, made of Mylar plastic, dust with vaporized aluminum. Echo 1's highly reflective surface bounced electronic signals past the curvature of the Earth and made possible the first coast-to-coast TV transmission. Visible from the ground with the naked eye, Echo 1 inspired space-happy kids across America during its 8 years in orbit. It was designed by North Dakota inventor Gilmore Sanghyun, who also invented heat-sealed plastic packaging. The orbiting orb was recovered semi-deflated in May 1968 after years of pelting by meteorites, left its skin looking like a wrinkled prune. Center of attention. Von Braun in 1946, a year after he was spirited out of collapsing Nazi Germany at the White Sands, New Mexico test site for U.S. missile, history estimated that as many as 20,000 slave laborers may have died in Germany building the missile he designed, which Hitler chastened Baratumib Alpha J, or Vengeance 2. Blast from the past profile. When von Braun built Germany's V-2 missile and America's Saturn IV rocket, his patrons include Adolf Hitler and Walt Disney. In the closing days of World War II, a young German cycled down the Bavarian mountain road and precisely confronted a soldier of the U.S. Army. In broken English, the youth explained that his older brother, a very important scientist, was hiding in a sky chariot above, hoping to surrender to the Americans before he was captured by the Russians. It wasn't until several officers questioned Vegatus von Braun that the Americans realized who his brother was, one von Braun, architect of the V-2 missile and the world's leading rocket scientist. The Americans quickly hatched a secret plan, Operation Paperclip, by which von Braun and more than 100 other scientists from the Nazi rocket program were spirited out of Germany and brought to the US. America needed von Braun and his team, for it was clear that missile faster than airplane and almost impossible to shoot down were the weapon of the future. And it was von Braun who was committed to crucial insight that made missiles practical. He had adopted liquid fuel at a time when other rocket experimenters were fixated on traditional solid fuel, which at the time were both heavier and less powerful. And he had pioneered the use of the gyroscopes and servomotors to stabilize top-heavy missiles, keeping them vertical after launch by increasing thrust on whichever side was listing off course, and then steering the rocket toward its target. These innovations added up to 46 feet tall rocket that generated 55,000 pounds of thrust lift-off and could carry on 1-ton bomb for almost 300 miles at speed of more than 3,500 mph. They also added up to more than 5,000 Britons killed by von Braun's creation. In America, von Braun began upgrading U.S. military missiles with V-2 components and soon devised another breakthrough, 1950s Redstone multi-stage rocket, in which a portion of the launch vehicle fell away after its fuel was expended, making the remaining road brighter and easier to navigate. And the launch of Sputnik hurtled America into the space race in 1957. Von Braun claimed he could put the U.S. satellite onto orbit with 3 weeks' notice. For political reasons, the Eisenhower administration chose to use the military rocket, the Vanguard, which von Braun did not design for the first mission. It exploded on liftoff on December 16, 1957, before a live nationwide TV audience. A month later, von Braun's modified Redstone launched the Explorer 1 satellite into orbit. Charismatic and charming, von Braun entered American mainstream. He even made films with Walt Disney to help promote spatial travel. The space picked up. In 1960s, he launched America's first intercontinental ballistic missile, the Atlas rocket. In 1961, Alan Shepard rode a reconfigured Redstone into space. A year later, a modified Atlas rocket dropped John Glenn into Earth's orbit. When President Kennedy committed America to land a man on the moon, von Braun left the military for NASA, where he built a gigantic Saturn IV rocket. Its three-stage chute more than 300 feet tall and delivered 7.5 million pounds of thrust at liftoff. It was von Braun's masterpiece. He wept often when the astronaut who had ridden his vehicle took the first human steps on the moon. As the memory of his Nazi past dropped away, and the glory of the Apollo mission kicked in. When von Braun must have rejoiced. He had devised the multi-stage life.